Charles Thomas Munger, born on January 1, 1924, was an American businessman, investor, and philanthropist. He was the vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, the conglomerate controlled by Warren Buffett. Buffett described Munger as his closest partner and right-hand man. At the age of 99, Charlie Munger passed away peacefully on Tuesday morning, November 28, 2023, at a California hospital.
And so I expanded it into this corollary of looking for a confluence of causes when you see a Lollapalooza result in social science. And that has been enormously helpful to me, because I find that a lot of social scientists have a weird mania where they twist everything into whatever little concept they started with. Again, it's that old saying, to a man with a hammer, every problem looks pretty much like a nail. And I have worked hard to avoid that problem. And of course, if you grab the big ideas in all the disciplines, by definition, you're a man with multiple tools. So you're less likely to commit the inanities of the people who twist every problem into being a nail. Well, at any rate, there were a series of tricks like that I used as I went through life, and it was amazing how many times I'd find something that I could easily solve with my little bag of mental tricks that had missed other people who were eminent in their field. I could go right into their territory sometimes and see more clearly than the professional denizen how his conclusions fit into the bigger picture. Again, this is a very dangerous attitude to have in ordinary social discourse. But it's a very good way to invest money. And at any rate, that's the kind of a peculiar man you have here tonight. And of course, I idolized Ben Franklin because I identify with him. Of course, he was so much more talented than I am. It's just a joke to make the comparison. But at least he was a totally self-educated man that wandered over a vast amount of territory and was pretty competent over the full range. And a lot of Franklin's knowledge was psychological too. He was a great observer of human nature. And so there are implications, of course, in this attitude of mine in academia. And the implication is very simple. Social science in America is very poorly taught. And the people who are the denizens and the people that they teach are way more incompetent than they need to be. The solution is to get all these social scientists, or the ones that have the capacity to do it at least, so that they are comfortable across the boundaries of disciplines and see where the ideas conflict. Let me give you a simple example. If you went around Caltech and asked people, where do the laws of chemistry not apply? Practically everybody would say, well, they don't work in a hot plasma. No big deal. But if you ask a bunch of people that have taken the main course in economics and have gone on to business school in America, and you say, well, you're selling something in which is measured in units, and you want to sell more units. Do you raise the price or lower the price? Well, they've seen supply and demand curves. You lower the price. Then you say, tell me the occasions on which, if you want to sell more units, you raise the price. Now, this is an intelligent group. You've been through social science. I'm giving you some time. Will anybody who has the right answer raise his hand? Yeah, luxury goods. That's what do. About 1 in 50 comes up with the idea of luxury goods. Right. That the price is sort of a signal that it's high quality, and if it's not a signal of high quality, it's a way of bragging to your friends that you have both discrimination and money. But one other interesting example is the one that happened to my Caltech educated friend Bill Ballhaus, who was CEO of Beckman Instruments. company founded by another eminent Caltech professor. And Ballhaus had in his business collection a company that made some complex gizmo that they sold for a lower price than the other two gizmos in the market. And yet it was much better, and it had lousy figures. And Ballhaus took one look at it, and he realized that it was a gizmo where if it failed, it imposed enormous costs on the owner of the gizmo. And he recognized that the price being low was sending the signal wrong in reverse. This can't be very good, or it would. So he raised the price enormously and sold way more units, and of course the profits went up at a truly dramatic way. So these idiots that can't answer the question are leaving a lot of money on the table that a man like Ballhaus knows how to get. And the world is just full of opportunities like that for people who get the main points and go across it. But of course, that's not the main answer to the question. That's just the Ballhaus byway. The main answer to the question is very simple. Suppose you raise the price and use the money to bribe the other guy's purchasing agent. Well, you can laugh because it's so obvious once somebody points it out. But who was raising his hand over that one after all the fancy education you've had? And the kissing cousin of that direct bribery of the other guy's purchasing agent, that's the way title insurance is sold in America, that's the way load mutual funds are sold in America, that's the way a certain amount of defense contracting has been done or attempted to be done. It's a huge, important part of capitalistic life, that business of raising the price and using the money to enhance sales. And of course, there are legitimate ways to do it too, like legitimate information through advertising or otherwise. But there's a lot of illegitimate use of increased price to increase sales, and that's a big part of the capitalist condition. And if you don't have a brain that automatically has these things pop into it, you haven't really assimilated social science correctly. What good does it do to be able to pass a test parroting back to the professor what he told you? Well, that'll get you an academic label, but it won't get you the many millions of dollars Ballhaus made by raising the price, and it won't get you really fabulous investment results in life if it takes some imagination. If you don't see how all these things work and how they interplay. And of course, the way to get that competency, like any other competency, is to adopt the necessary elements and practice using it over a considerable period of time and a considerable area of complexity. And now, get to a really interesting question. Can we fix the social sciences so they aren't such total horses' asses? And the answer is yes. Is it likely to happen? The answer is no. It will happen eventually because, well, here I'm going to lose my humility pride. I had a guy in the Harvard Law Review ahead of me. He said to me once in the course of an argument, he said, "Charlie, think about it for a while and you'll agree with me, because you're smart and I'm right."
Great or
Yeah. Well, the liberal arts are going to come to the Munger system in due course because they're smart and I'm right. It can be done better, but it can't be done better with a crazy reward system that allows people to be as silly as they are in many departments. I always liked the story of P.J. O'Rourke, who said, he says, the last communist dictator of Albania was a pure communist. And he finally threw out the Russian embassy because they'd lost the pure faith. And then he kicked out the Chinese communists because they'd lost the pure faith. And he said finally he was only comfortable with two places in the world. One was the communist dictator of North Korea, and the other was the English department at Yale. Well, you think I'm kidding, but there is a lot of extreme craziness in some of the liberal arts, and they select people who share their craziness. And it is not necessary that academia tolerate forever this lack of multidisciplinary competence. It's not that hard. If some aging, untrained, fat, old man can do it, you know, surely the young, brilliant liberal arts people can do it. It will take a different incentive and a different system. It might even be that a place like Caltech could do it, but they'd have to get a rather unusual person to do it for them.
Well, that's
All right.
Do you want to retire early? Do you love freedom? Do you want to work only 1 to 2 hours a day while traveling around the world and spend more time with your family? You can start stock investing and option trading right now.
If you want to know more about finance, stocks, options, real estate, crypto, check out our playlist: stock investing, stock trading, option trading, real estate, cryptocurrency.